Hello, everyone. A very warm welcome to our webinar number 2 of our webinar series. Today, we are happy to have many people from around the world join us in these sessions. And I want to say a very good morning to all our friends from Europe. Good afternoon to those joining us from Asia and Middle East. And a good evening to those who dial in from Australia and New Zealand. In case you are joining from America, a very good early morning to you. And thank you for staying up to join us. I'm Alan from Singapore. I'm your host for today's webinar. A quick introduction of myself. I'm the Regional Head of Business Development for Southeast Asia, and I have been in the industry for more than 25 years, having spent 15 years in the public sector, in the Transport Authority here, and 12 years in the private organizations. So with me today is Timothy Lim, our Regional Head of Professional Services based in Sydney, Australia. Tim is a veteran in this field where he has 18 years of extensive experience across transport engineering, planning, transport modeling, and more recently on system architecture design and project management. So he has successfully led, managed, and advised on a very wide range of projects. And Tim, would you like to say a few words to everyone?
Well, good day to everyone.
Right. Thank you. And Tim can proceed to the next slide. I think we have still a lot of people joining us. All right. So we have about 150 of them now. All right. So I believe many of you have joined us in our first webinar in November. And thank you once again for joining us today. And for those who join us for the very first time, a very warm welcome to you. In case you are not aware, we started this webinar series since November last year, where we will have a webinar once every 2 months on a Thursday at this timing. The aim is really for us to have a platform for us to share about what we do, what we have, and our contributions to the use cases and projects that we've done. Basically, an ecosystem for knowledge sharing and interactions where you can pose questions and we will answer them here. A quick recap in our first webinar, my colleague Tessa shared about the key features and functions of our Aimsun Next software. Today, we are going to continue from where we stopped. We will talk about, more importantly, the aspect of a simulation that is interfacing and emulating adaptive traffic signal controls in a simulated environment that provides greater realism and accuracy to simulation. I believe that it will be a very useful and informative sessions for you, and that you have some key takeaways at the end of the sessions. Team can proceed to the next slide. Right, in this session, we will cover the following. First, I will provide a short introduction and overview of Aimsun and our product and solutions, after which Tim will go into the detail to talk about the various signal controls that we provide in Aimsun Next, the various interfaces to the popular adaptive traffic signal controls. After that, he will share the use cases and some of the projects that we have done, which may be relevant to some of you who are working on or planning for some projects in your organizations. And lastly, I will touch on the various editions of Aimsun Next and how you can trial, buy, and manage your subscriptions. Your mics and videos are muted, but feel free to type and post your questions in the Q&A channel here. Right, you can put in your questions anytime during the sessions. Right, don't have to wait till the end. My colleagues here will be here to respond and address your questions as best as they can immediately. In case we are not able to answer questions today, we'll try to get back to you separately. Right? It's important that you pose your questions only in the Q&A channel so that we can keep track of the list of questions to respond. Right? So do not post them in the chat group, please. Thank you. Team, next slide. Thank you. All right, to start off, let me do a quick introduction of Aimsun. As I believe some of you are new to us, we are a specialist and technology leader in the areas of transport modeling and simulation, and we have been in the transport industry for the past 27 years in over 100 countries. So we are a trusted brand and company that delivers on our promises to our clients, from transport authorities to consultancies and to tertiary research institutions, where we have simulated billions of vehicle kilometers of roads. The trust that the clients have in us is a testimony of our professionalism and quality of works that we have done and delivered in different regions. Next slide. So we are a Spanish-based company with our headquarters in Barcelona. Besides our other European offices in Paris and London, we also have offices in New York, Sydney, Singapore, and Abu Dhabi to take care and be responsible of the different regions. Next slide. So what do we do? Our foundations lie in our strong research and development of a powerful and unique traffic modeling and simulation software for multimodal planning and operations for transport authorities and public transport operators, consultants, city municipals, planners, and academias. Beyond this, we have also been involved in the development of a real-time predictive traffic decision support system for a long time. Today, with advancement of technologies, processors have become faster and more powerful, allowing simulations to be run at easily 10 to 20 times faster than real time. Hence, predictive transportation management has become a key component in many cities' traffic management centers. Now, this is a key topic by itself, and we will talk about this in our subsequent webinars. Another area that we are actively involved is on shared mobility strategy assessment. In recent years, we also saw the rise of new mobility solutions such as car sharing, bike sharing, or on-demand bus, mobility as a service in many several cities around the world. So one of the key activities is to support organizations in evaluating and assessing the effectiveness, the challenges, and the opportunities of such shared mobility models. For example, we want to know what is the best optimal route, where is the best pick-up and drop-off points, and what is the fleet size required, right? And last but not least, we need to be forward-looking and future-proofing ourselves. We have been actively involved in autonomous vehicle R&D projects, customizing solutions for autonomous vehicle stack testing. And this is another topic that has been reserved for our future webinars. Next slide. Well, I'll not spend too much time on the next slide here. Tim, the next slide, please. Yeah. So basically, it's to share that we have a global team with end-to-end expertise from software development through solution design and project management, data treatment by scientists and system maintenance. Important message is that we are an organization that think globally and act locally. In Aimsun, we offer not only our very own Aimsun Next transport modeling and simulation software, we also work with partners to deliver digital mobility solutions to suit the varying needs of our end clients. We have specific solutions that cater to understanding trends and insights of historical traffic data, predicting traffic conditions or impacts to road networks in the next 30 minutes or 1 hour, having more operational situation awareness, or to have quick assessment and analysis of traffic schemes, for example. So these are very interesting topics, which I would say that my colleagues, Martin and Dimitri, will touch on in the next 2 webinars in the coming months. So stay tuned and register for it when the time comes. Today, we shall focus on our Aimsun Next software, where we concentrate on its key features, which form the foundations of these digital solutions. Next slide. Now, before I pass over to Tim, I want to share this slide to introduce our Aimsun Next. So it is an all-in-one software that allows users to carry out multi-tier simulation that includes macro, meso, and macro simulation, all in the same platform without having to switch from one software to another. Now, this is a very key uniqueness of our Aimsun Next, and it is a value that we hold since day one, where our founders believe that a unified platform is important to integrate the different modeling techniques to analyze the transportation system comprehensively. Now, these hybrid simulations will improve efficiency, increase accuracy, and reduce cost of operations, and the flexibility to present diverse system dynamics and enhance capabilities for scenario testing and decision support. But I think I've said enough. Next, I will hand you over to Timothy, who will bring you through the key highlight of today's webinar. Right, Tim, all yours.
Thanks, Alan, for the introductions. Well, now let us explore the different control system interface that Aimsun has developed over the years. So there are a lot of them But for today's, for the interest of time, we'll focus on a couple of them only. Especially you can see here the SCATS, SCOOTS, and Fusion, but we'll go into the details later on. So before we dive into the deep end of the interface discussion, let us explore in terms of why we need these interfaces. I mean, for sure, there must be some usefulness or benefit that we can derive from this interface, or especially for our user and end client, so that we will develop then this interface. So the first point here is by combining our simulation tool Aimsun Next with these interfaces, well, what we get from here is that it's a realistic estimation and visualization of your network performance. So that's very important when the time you do the communication, when the time you do the assessment. Well, the next one is you get a higher accuracy when you try to test different options, try to quantify the benefit and disbenefit. Well, more importantly, and the time you go into the operations, the next thing that you need to consider is the risk management. So you can test different type of solutions before you do the actual deployment. Then, well, that give you the chances to manage the risk, the project risk for the full life cycle, from the planning to the design to the operational. Then, so essentially, well, at the end, you can improve your existing asset, achieve optimum design for your investment, and reduce the operational risk. All of these are in a single platform. So all of this means that you save more money, increase your return on investment over the asset life cycle. Well, now that we understand this potential benefit that we can derive from the sandbox environment like Aimsun Next, well, let us explore the built-in function first before we start discussing about the interface. So first, we have the Aimsun Next fixed control plan. It's a typical set and forget approach, meaning that you just set up the fixed timing and then it will just keep rerunning the same phases, same movement again and again. It's suitable for low traffic environment, generally used for small urban area with limited signal control. And it's useful tool for replicating historical saturation flow. When the time you try to establish a baseline for your project assessment, that's a useful tool that you can use to replicate the historical condition then. The next one, we have the Aimsun Next actuated control, which is based on NEMA logic. Okay, it's a demand responsive control similar to most of the actuated control system. Is suitable for large urban area operating at near capacity. So instead of, I mean, if you don't want the taking another step and the time you do the detailed design on operation going through the interface, you can use this NEMA logic as a temporary assessment tool for your project. It includes the capability to code the multi-ring options. So for subphases, for complex configuration, you can enable the multi-ring functionality. So this particular tool is suitable for corridor optimizations in realizing the green wave coordination. And therefore, it's, well, in comparison to the fixed control system, it's designed to minimize the wasted green time then. Well, last but not least, we have this Aimsun Next metering signals. Well, the purpose of metering system is to create a boom gate effect. It controls the entry flow into a particular area or particular road corridor. So in recent years, it's commonly applied and it's called RAM metering to control the entry flow into a motorway or a freeway. Later on, we'll go through the example. And sometimes metering is used at the roundabout too. So that's something that you can consider. It is normally used to prevent flow breakdown or along the freeway, the capacity drop condition, or for roundabout, it's preventing it from grid locking. Now let us go through the various signal interface that Aimsun has developed. So by signal interface, what we meant by that is that we are connecting to a third-party signal control system. So on the screen, you can see some example here. You have SCATS, you have Yutraffic Office, you have Scoot, you have Stream, VS Plus, Lisa, Yutraffic Fusion, Utopia, Traffic Management. CDRA intersection is a signal interface, but it's not exactly a control system on the ground, which later on we will discuss in more detail. But like we discussed earlier, in the interest of time, we'll focus basically in this particular session, the 5 interface on the screen now. So you have SCATS, Scoot, Stream, Yutraffic FUSION, and CDRA intersections. Okay, but well, given that we are not exactly the developer, we are working with all of these software developers as a software partner. So just to be clear here, we do not represent any of the third-party software presented in any way. Okay, we are working as a software partner to develop the interface. So if you would like to have more information about their software or control system, well, we will suggest you to visit their website. And each of these are provided under the coming slide as a source under each page. Okay, just to be clear. Well, first of all, we'll go through SCATS and what is exactly SCATS. I guess for a lot of the attendees who are in the Asia Pacific region, it's a very commonly used adaptive control system in this region. SCATS stands for Signal Coordinated Adaptive Traffic System. It's an intelligent real-time traffic management platform that monitors, controls, and optimizes the movement of people and goods in city. To ensure that I'm explaining it correctly, this is a direct quote from their website. And likewise, later on, you'll see that for every single control system, that's, well, we'll go through them, and the explanation is coming from their website. Again, if you'd like to know more, you can contact them directly. But more importantly, in this session, we are going to cover what exactly the interface is doing. How does it work? Okay, so we have been working closely with SCATS team. Well, it has been one of the longer collaboration we have. It's more than 10 years now. It has 3 distinct features that we have developed over these years. Okay, the first one is Aimsun with SCATS SIM interface. It allows us to emulate the SCATS system in a realistic environment. So we can use all the SCATS system file from the production environment and connect that to the simulation environment. In that case, we can simulate the realistic traffic condition plus the realistic signal control operation. Then that gives us a better picture of how things work on the ground. The second one is the SCATS and SCATS ITS with the Aimsun Next interface. Okay, this particular interface allows us to process SCATS system file for offline development. So you can develop the offline digital twins in Aimsun Next platform by reading in some of the information. We'll go through that in details later. You can also use the interface to influence some of the SCATS operations. Okay, so changing temporarily the phase time and etc. Finally, we have the interface with SCATS RAM metering system. So if you like to assess whether or not you should introduce a SCATS RAM metering system along a freeway or along motorway, you can use this interface to emulate the operations. Well, next up, we have the Aimsun Next with Scoot interface. Scoot is a commonly used adaptive control system in UK, and it's used across the world as well. And well, and this is an introduction, and I quote from their website. Scoot 7 software is a real-time method of signal control that puts the road user experience first, where traffic signals sit closely together. Coordinating adjacent signal can offer a dramatically improved experience. The current version, Scoot 7, is the leading method to improve network level traffic management. So you can, if you are interested, visit their website. Now, again, what does it do? What does the interface do? How does it work? Okay, so Aimsun Next emulate the ITS devices and operations. So it create a more a calibrated, validated, a realistic traffic condition on the ground. Then we create a configuration file here called the micro sim config. Is to use to map the ITS object between the two systems. Through the interface, SCATS, well, the UTC system with SCATS will provide then the signal operation details. Once the UTC system has been configured and initiated appropriately, well, you get what you see on the right-hand side. It will initiate the Cobra. It will indicate that in the log window, and then you have the visualization of the traffic operations at the intersection level. You can see it on in the video, as well as the operation in SCATS. Well, the next one is Aimsun Next with stream interface. I might be going a bit fast, but later on we will cover it in more detail. So this is more giving you a bit of an introduction of all the different interface. So we have covered SCATS. Now the third one is the stream. Okay, we have the Aimsun Next with stream interface. And again, this is a direct quote from their website. Stream, what is stream? The world-class ITS platform stream enable road authority to manage their transport network holistically, rather than as a collection of separate components. The unique software architecture provides a complete integrated ITS platform, supporting a comprehensive range of services and infrastructure, making it possible to manage traffic signaling, incident response, motorway management, and other traffic services from a single system. This is one unique capability that sets Stream apart from other systems. Well, this is a more recent development. So the Stream and Aimsun Next interface is a more recent development. At this stage, we focus on a lot on the smart freeway operation and training. The interface is used to exchange data about lumps as well. So the lane utilization management system, the detector devices, and metering status. The intersection signal control emulation is still currently under exploration with the developer of Stream. Okay. The fourth adaptive control system that we are going to cover today is the Aimsun Next and Yutraffic FUSION system. Okay. Again, what we have here is a direct quote from their website. Before we go through that, well, I just would like to be clear here. Yutraffic FUSION is developed and owned by Yutraffic, the parents company of Aimsun. Okay. So of course we work very closely with them, but we are working as an independent entity. So this is a new interface that we have developed with Next. So what exactly is Yutraffic FUSION? Yutraffic FUSION is a completely new intelligent adaptive traffic control application that uses data from multiple sources and new advanced decision-making approaches to control and optimize your road network and transport infrastructure for all road users. Okay. So, well, because of the nature of our company, we work very closely with Unext. For the past few years, we have been focusing on a lot of different development. So we have developed a lot of different multi-level interface with Unext products. So one of them is Yutraffic FUSION, which is used for adaptive control system. So through this interface, we pass the vehicle detection information to Yutraffic FUSION. And after determining the optimum second-by-second signal timing and offset, the expected control status is returned then to Aimsun Next simulation. So on the right-hand side, you can see how the top right corner, you have Aimsun Next running these traffic simulations. You have the vehicle by vehicle information being passed through the detectors. And on the top left, as well as at the bottom of these videos, you can see how then the Yutraffic FUSION is modeling the operation at the intersection level only. So you're combining two levels. One is at the intersection level, the other one is at the network level into a single test environment then. So you can, for this particular system, the automated simulation test environment is heavily utilized by the team to test the latest Fusion performance at a button click. So it's an automated test process between the two systems. Well, the fifth control interface that we are going to cover today is the CDRA and Aimsun Next interface. CDRA is not exactly an adaptive control system, okay? It is an analytical modeling tool, okay? So that's what I've included on the footnote there, just to be clear. So what exactly is CDRA intersection? CDRA intersection software, it's a road traffic modeling tool used in the area of traffic engineering, transport planning, multimodal traffic management, traffic intersection design and operation. It uses an analytical approach for modeling intersection, interchange, street, and network. The application includes traffic impact analysis, roundabout geometry design, efficient operation of traffic signal control system, and development of balance, movement, and place solution. Again, this is a direct quote from their website. How does it work? Well, we have been working with the CDRA team since CDRA 6.1, and I think the latest version is CDRA 9.1. It's a very useful analytical modeling tool for signal optimization. So if you have an existing intersection and you like to optimize the signal timing, etc., before you model it in the Aimsun Next platform, then CDRA is a pretty good tool for that. So through the interface, we can pass the intersection geometry signal configuration from the Aimsun Next platform to CDRA. So then, meaning that if you have already a base model, you can create the intersection, you export this information to CDRA. Then you can calculate the optimum signal timing from CDRA and then import it back into Aimsun for the full network simulation and impact assessment. Then you can repeat this process as many times as required in order to achieve the best balance between network or corridor level optimization with the intersection level optimization then. Well, that's the 5 interfaces that we are going to cover today. First is the SCATS interface. The second one is the SCOOTS interface. The third one is the stream interface. The fourth one is the Yutraffic FUSION. And finally, we just discussed about the CDRA interface. Now, with so many interfaces, well, I hope that it's not super confusing, but the main thing is how can we use them? So we are going to explore the use cases. That it's the main thing. Like, I mean, you may have a preference for any specific system for various reasons because you are trying to achieve different type of KPI, whether it's trying to optimize it for travel time, trying to reduce the saturation across the whole network, or you're trying to reduce emissions. So you have different type of system, but the main thing is the use case. How can you use it? So through these interfaces, the first use case that we are going to discuss here is the static data exchange. So between the system and the model, one of the example that we can go through here is the Aimsun Next and the SCATS ITS interface. So through this interface, you can read the existing data or existing information that is already stored in SCATS. So the first thing that you can read there is the geometry, that the intersection geometry that is already coded in SCATS. Then it basically then can streamline the model development process or integrating this information in your existing Aimsun Next digital twin. You can also process the historical data, whether it's the signal timing or detector count. So you have the detector on the ground. This information is stored in the log file in SCATS. Through this interface, you can process it and read it into the model then. The second use case is the planning and operation use case. Well, one of the example here is for RAM metering, emulation, and assessment. This example here that you can see on the screen is the stream using the HERO algorithm. It's a stream RAM metering system. Okay. So you can test through this system the different layout of the RAM or optimize the location of the detectors along the freeway to achieve the optimum RAM metering operations. Third use case, while it's still within the planning and operations field, it's for signal control optimizations. Well, one of the very I guess clear example that we can provide here is Aimsun Next and SCATS interface. In Australia, we have done a project with another consultant using this particular interface. We'll go through that in details, but pretty much for the whole cycle of the projects. So the whole system started with Aimsun Next. So you have a realistic emulation of traffic condition using Aimsun Next. Going through the tool that is provided by SCATS, SIM Hub, we exchange the data through the SIM Hub. With Yutraffic, we emulate then the SCATS intersection control. So you have the control for each intersection, and all of these are simulated through Yutraffic. Then you can go up the next level where you have multiple subsystems that are controlled by SCATS region. So you can test different, I don't know, maybe the offset plan, the phase split plan in the region. So, well, for this particular corridor, which particular plan is better? Of course, then you have SCATS Central Control. Well, it's the SCATS Central Manager. It's the central control system that you can use to influence all the different operations across the whole system. And finally, you have SCATS Access, which is the SCATS GUI, so the graphic user interface, the one that you can use to interact with the system. In terms of the use case, well, first you have the Yutraffic, so means that you can test different type at the local level. You can test different type of intersection operation. So how do you which particular phase get how many seconds, or what's the interface time, and etc. All of these you can test it by changing just the configuration at the intersection level. Then you can test the corridor optimizations. Then of course you can test the network-wide changes. So all of them, well, at the moment, and for the in the interest of time, so I've grouped all of these under signal control optimization. It can be used for existing network. It can be done for new intersection as well. So I guess it's fairly flexible in that sense. Then of course, if you like to do a full upgrade across the whole system, can you test it? Yes, of course you can. So that is one of the risk management as well. If you are changing the software version, whether it's for SCATS or for any other signal control system, well, if you go from version 1 to version 2, version 2 to version 4, all of these can be tested in at once so that you can quantify the impact and manage the risk involved before you do the real deployment in the production environment on the ground, so that, well, you know what to expect on the day you do the deployment. So that's one of the potential use case as well. Well, if you have the system that just now we discussed about automated tests, you can also set up an environment for constant testing. So whenever you make a change, you already can quantify the performance in a more streamlined approach. So it depends on the KPI you like, depends on how you set up the system. Of course, all these steps can be designed and to have someone to review it as well. So, well, we can work with you on that front as well. So if you like to set up these automated tests. Well, finally, the fifth use case that we have here is to test multiple control system in the sandbox environment. So it depends on your city. I understand that across the world, you may not necessarily just use one system because of, well, if you're testing out new system or because of legacy issue, you already have existing system then that is being maintained. And then for a new area, you're using another system. All of these then can combine into one sandbox environment. In that sense, you can test the cumulative impact and assess their operation performance then, rather than just focusing at a single intersection or a single system. So we'll go through that later on, but this is more of a diagram or example that we have in Prague in Europe. Well, a quick summary of all the use cases that we just discussed, at different stage of the project, well, whether you're just starting out planning a new project, planning for smart city, planning for a new ITS system, or that might be at a time scale of less than 10 years or more than 10 years, that can be, well, you can start the assessment now. Otherwise, well, if you have a kind of a more operational level that you're trying to plan for it, like the operational planning or network operation that require 1 to 3 years of planning because of a new event, because you try to improve a corridor, all of these can be done through this type of interface between Aimsun Next and the adaptive signal control system. So it's a sandbox environment that can live throughout the project life cycle. In terms of the project example, well, we are going to cover the project example across the world. So I have colleagues from well, the product team as well. They will answer your question. If you have any question, feel free to post it in the Q&A tab so that they can answer it, whether it's about the adaptive signal control at the use cases or this project example that we are going to go through now. First is the project example from, well, my home base, Sydney. This was a project completed by GTA Consultants, now known as Stantec, with the support from Aimsun. So it uses Aimsun and SCATS sim environment to complete the operational impact assessment back in 2013. Up until the day before the light rail system was open to the public in 2020. Okay, so that is a very good example of how from the very beginning, the system, the sandbox environment has been used for impact assessment and going through the full details of, well, you have this construction scenario modeling, you have the end state travel time evaluations, and then going into the operation of the design of the personality file. So yeah. Well, the second example is, well, we are still sticking with Australia, but we are moving towards the west. It's in Perth. It was a project completed in partnership with Main Road Western Australia. That's a very interesting project, to be honest, because we reversed the use case of the sandbox environment. It was developed for operational training. So right before the system goes live, well, we are trying to replicate how the RAM metering will operate on the ground. And then this can be used as a training environment to train the operator. And so it's kind of reversing using the sandbox environment, but treat it as a real world situation, so the operator can get used to the system before it goes live. Well, the third project that we are going to go through is an example in Europe, or specifically is in Prague. Something that we covered earlier in terms of the architecture diagram you see earlier under the use case. This was completed in partnership with Technical Road Administration of Prague and Yutraffic. The sandbox environment was used for pre-implementation testing and optimization of the Fusion configuration prior to the deployment to the production environment. So well, that's just now we talk about the automated test. That's the system that we developed as a joint project with the road authority in Prague and Yutraffic. Well, for our final project example here, we are going to move back to the Asia Pacific region. Okay, it's specifically it's a pilot project in Kolkata in India. It was a pilot project to demonstrate a business case for the SCATS implementations. Okay, well, a bit of the background. The corridor along this, you can see the study area on the right. The corridor is very congested. It has, well, it didn't have this coordinated the traffic signal or adaptive control system running at the At that time, it was running at a fixed timing. So, well, you can imagine, well, let's not jump to the conclusion. Let's start with the background. So the existing corridor was very congested. It didn't have this coordinated adaptive control system. So it was running at a fixed time. And the purpose of this pilot was to demonstrate that, well, through the, say, adaptive control system like SCATS, can we actually improve the travel time along that corridor and therefore minimizing the congestion around the corridor. So from there, we developed a business case for SCATS implementation. I think that's a better order. Right. So what did the Aimsun team do? So, well, what have we done? So we developed the sandbox environment starting from the Aimsun Next simulation. So you need to replicate the traffic condition on the ground. Then you hook up the SCATS emulator, which we call SCATS Sim. So now we have a combined sandbox environment together with the local SCATS design team. We tested then and optimized, of course, the different SCATS configurations. At the end, we provided the result and finding to the client to support the decision-making process. So what did we find? The key finding or the outcome from the project, okay, is the southbound travel time is expected to reduce by between the 11 to 36%. Well, of course, depends on the time of the day. And the northbound direction, the travel time is expected to reduce by 8 to 12%. The finding is that, well, of course, well, I think, of course, well, normally it's best to complete your own study as a business case. Through this finding, well, we show that the adaptive control system like SCATS control system, it can improve along this particular corridor in Kolkata, that it can improve the traffic condition along this particular corridor out of this study, okay? Because, well, without testing it, we can't exactly say for sure. So it's best to do this type of test prior to the implementation. So, of course, then the Aimsun Next managed to emulate the SCATS configuration with the support of the local SCATS team in the virtual but realistic environment, okay? It's a very useful tool to test any SCATS scenario. So this business case basically is to test a new system, but of course, you can also use it for existing system. And the time you test different SCATS scenario to optimize it, it is a safe and cost-effective way to test it before the actual deployment, because you don't want to go planning for the deployment, etc. Then only find out that, well, it only improve it by 2%. Does it actually meet your objective? Whether or not that meet your objective, well, it's best to quantify that beforehand. Okay, well, now we have covered the different adaptive control system, the use cases, the project example. I'll pass it back to Alan to go through the remaining discussions. Thank you.
Right, thank you, Tim. Right, I hope by now everyone here have a better understanding on the capabilities, on the interface to various adaptive traffic signal controls and the applications, use cases. And also some of you have posted questions and my colleagues are actively responding them directly to you. Keep the questions coming in and post them on the Q&A session, please, not on the chat group. And for information, this webinar is recorded and you should automatically receive a recording of this webinar to the email address that you use to register for this event. All right. So I guess some of you may be asking now, okay, so how do I get a license to use this? What kind of additions there are? What kind of price do I have to pay? I'm going to address some of these questions in the next couple of minutes. Next slide, Tim. So for information that we have moved away from the use of hardware dongle keys to subscription-based online software keys and self-managed through a web portal. For the past 25 years, we have been using hardware key dongles and we have to send them to clients to plug into their laptops or desktops in order to use the simulation software. Delivery of the dongles takes time and they cost money. Sometimes dongles get damaged or not working after some time, and we have to resend them again. And all this take time, resulting loss in efficiencies and productivities. Users get frustrated, especially if they need to deliver a project urgently. I believe some of you may have experience and can resonate that with what I've just said, right? I can imagine some of you nodding your heads right now, even though I may not be able to see you. And also during the pandemic, most of us, we are working from home back then. And many of the users realized that their dongles were left in the office, plugged in their PCs, or held by their other colleagues, which they can't access to at a point in time. So we have users requesting for remote desktop access, more self-management of use of software by themselves. Now that the pandemic is behind us, we saw the importance of to have this a highly flexible way of how users access the software and be managed by themselves, so that they can have access to it when needed, wherever they are. So last year, when we launched our Aimsun Next 24 in April, we also launched a new My Aimsun client portal and subscription-based licenses. Next slide. So how do you acquire an Aimsun Next license now? So when the organization decides and pays for a subscription of our simulation software, we will require them to designate a licensed administrator, and we will create an account for this person known as an admin. So this admin will receive an email with instructions for setting a password and activating the account. And once the account is activated, the admin can enter into the My Aimsun admin portal to create user accounts for the colleagues that need access to the subscriptions. Again, depending on the number of seats that they subscribe to. So basically, that is administrative autonomy. And admins can then manage the company's pool of licenses and can distribute them and reassign them when needed. So one important thing to note is that all the accounts must have an email domain that corresponds to the organizations. Right. So if your company name is say ABC, you have to use a consistent company email domain address with let's say ABC. You can't use a public email such as Gmail account to set up your company account, right? We need to recognize and allow users with the same domain to access it, especially if there are multiple subscriptions. Next slide. So there are many benefits that come with this subscription-based licensing model. Firstly, as you can see, there is greater autonomy in managing your own pool of users and with flexible distribution within the organizations. So the admin can freely manage the company's pool of users, distributing them, reassigning them when needed. Take, for example, your organization may have 10 transport modelers who have skilled at using Aimsun Next software, but only 5 of them are working on a particular modeling project at a time. So in this case, it will mean that the company only needs to subscribe 5 licenses for 5 modelers. The admin then can allocate them to the transport modelers and reassign them to other users later on for other projects when the current users complete and release completed the project. Right. So it's more flexible, more cost efficient, and more optimized resource utilizations. Now, secondly, there is remote desktop access. This means your company allows you to access to a dedicated desktop in the office to use the software so long you have an internet connection to it. In this case, the license is assigned to the computer, not the user of the computer. And thirdly, with cloud computing, it allows you to acquire and release a license for a virtual computer, which you can create and remove on demand. In this case, a token would need to be generated by admin. We can also help to support on the setting up of this. So feel free to get in touch with us if you're keen to know more on this particular area. The key point here is that now we can facilitate cloud computing easily. Now, subscriptions also bring about improved security. In events that the laptop is lost, damaged, or stolen, the license will be recovered automatically at the end of the activation period. Unlike having a dongle, if it's broken, stolen, it's always a hassle to get the license back. But rest assured that neither the admin nor Aimsun can remotely deactivate a license. Next slide. So those of you who are existing users of Aimsun Next, you probably are aware that previously some of the features or modules, such as the APIs, the adaptive traffic control interfaces, comes with extra costs over and above the software license cost. Good news is that we have now included them as part of the software, depending on the editions that you choose. As you can see on the table on the right here. So the more powerful the edition is, the more features you unlock at no extra charge. Right. So as you can see here, we have 4 different editions to choose from with the introduction of a new lights edition, which is meant to cater for starters who want to micro-simulate multi-modal intersections or small highway corridors, for example. And being a starter edition, the light does come with size restrictions and limited features, but at a very affordable price at Euro $2,000 per year, or equivalent to Singapore dollars 3,000 per year, right? The Pro, Advanced, and Expert editions do not have any limitations to the size of the networks or intersections, nor the number of lanes, right? Tim, can you go to the next slide? So bear in mind that we only have one software, which is called the Aimsun Next. The difference in the editions are only features available to cater for different and diverse user needs. Well, I'll keep the prices for the Pro, Advanced, Expert a secret at this moment. If you want to know more, please reach out to us and we can provide a code to you, depending on the number of licenses that you wish to have. Just to share about the other 3 editions. So the Pro editions allows you to carry out extensive micro simulation works with no restriction to size, as mentioned earlier. The Advanced edition is our most popular subscription, as it is also comes with hybrid simulations, modeling like the meso, micro, and the macro meso, signal optimization interfaces, etc. And in case that you are looking at strategic long-term planning, the Expert edition is for you, as it comes with planning software interface and travel demand modeling. Basically, the 4-step transportation planning process. And of course, the full suite of features that comes with it. Right. Next slide. Oh, not forgetting our academics, researchers, and students. We have a student edition meant for teaching purposes and for undergrad students in the tertiary institutions. Aimsun Next is totally free for teaching and students usage, and there is no limit to the number of student licenses, right? So what you get is an Expert edition, a full suite of the next features, except that it has size restrictions and limitations on the number of nodes and kilometer of lanes usage, right? So however, you find it is usually more than enough for you to learn and for mini projects in the classroom. There is also no time locks or limits on daily simulation time. However, the point here is that the tutor or the lecturer in charge has to maintain the student license on behalf of the students. So in this case, the lecturer will be responsible in managing and distributing the number of student licenses within their class or school. Okay. Now, for academic editions, it is purely meant for researchers, lecturers, and postdoctorate in masterclass and PhD doctorate who are conducting research works. Similarly, you can get the Expert edition with all features included, and there is no restriction on the size. Now, as published on our website, the academic edition is priced at Euro $1,200 per year, or equivalent to Singapore dollars $1,800 per year. So in case you require an academic or student license, again, don't hesitate to reach out to us, right? Next. So in addition to all the different editions and academic students editions, we also provide Aimsun Next Viewer at no cost. It's entirely free. So this is for users who want to share your traffic model and simulation outputs to clients or colleagues who do not have access to the Aimsun Next software license. So they can download the Aimsun Next Viewer to replay a recorded simulation or view the model outputs. Right? So we try to cover all grounds and make life easy for everyone. Next slide. So on top of all this, we also offer a 30-day trial for those who want to try and have hands-on experience using our simulation software for the first time, to understand how it is easy to use, how to create small models, simulating it. All you need to do is go to our website, fill out the form. You will receive an email immediately containing the URL to download the Aimsun Next 24 for a 30-day trial. In case you don't receive the email, please check your spam folder. All right. Also, do check the system requirements in order for you to run it on your laptop or desktop. Kindly note that the 30-day trial version does have limitations since it is not intended for project work. For example, you can't save your work and you can't save the data in an external database, nor retrieve data from external database. Okay. Now the aim is really for you to have a feel on setting up the model and play around with the features. We do have tutorials tab where you can find sample networks, and it would give you an idea on the breadth of the applications, the speed, and the user friendliness of the software. Okay. Right, next slide. Right, so yeah, give me a thumbs up if you find this webinar useful. Again, we love to do this more for you. It's very encouraging to see many of you here. We have more than 200 participants today. And also thank you for all the questions. I hope that you got the answers that you want. For those that we have yet to reply, we'll get back to you separately on our responses. And before we end, I want to share with you our next webinar, which will happen on 20th of March. It's a Thursday, same time. The next webinar will be very interesting as we will share with you something beyond Aimsun Next, where we will talk more about mobility solutions, basically the off-the-shelf and customized data analytics service, the different levels of transport model build, and a sneak preview of our real-time traffic prediction use cases. Right, so stay tuned and watch out for our next email for the registrations. Team, next slide. Right, so I have left my email here. You can reach out to me if you have any query. And once again, on behalf of Aimsun, we thank you for taking time today to attend this webinar. It has been a pleasure to serve you and really to share with you. And I hope you have a great day ahead. Well, we've come to the end of this today's webinar. And thank you very much once again. See you then and see you. Thank you very much. Goodbye.